Well, good morning and welcome to the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. Again, I'm Reverend Steve Van Meter, and we have a little treat for you this morning. We have a guest speaker who I'm sharing the podium with this morning, and his name is Reverend Wally White. And Reverend Wally White is an ordained minister through the Pathways of Light Spiritual College. He's been a New Thought student for over 20 years, with most of his studies concentrated in unity and religious science. And he is currently the minister at the Unity in Greensboro, North Carolina. But on a personal note, I know Wally because we worked at the home office together doing some events. And he was really my right-hand man. And he was instrumental in obtaining Mr. Wayne Dyer when we were there to speak for us, which was a little miracle that we had happen during that week. But Wally is a TV guy. He's done a lot of TV stuff and movie stuff. But I'm sharing the pulpit with him. He let me share it with him about 6 months ago. So I'm returning the favor. I wanted to hear what he had to speak about stepping out and stepping up. So Wally White, take it away.
Hello from your future, everyone. I'm 3 hours ahead of you. A good afternoon in your future. So yeah, I was thinking about that time because it so ties into kind of what we're talking about here with stepping out and bringing things forward. Wayne Dyer didn't fall into our hands that day. He got prayed up weeks, months before that Asilomar conference. Stephen and I had been talking about the home office was getting ready to move to Colorado, and Stephen and I were talking about starting to maybe do some independent events since we wouldn't be working for home office anymore. And I was like, let's do an event where we have speakers who I've heard of, because I hadn't heard. Often Molly would be like, oh, I booked so-and-so. And I'm like, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, we said, let's have one where let's just go swing big and get Louise Hay and get Wayne Dyer and these people. And then as we were getting closer to the conference, the phone rang one day. And this guy introduced himself. I don't remember his name anymore, but he was the producer of a movie that Hay House was producing. And it was starring Wayne Dyer, and they were going to be on the grounds of Asilomar during the week that we had full control of the property. So if they wanted to use any buildings during that week, they had to come to us. And so we were like, yeah, we'll work with you. And, if they could pop in sometime and say hi, that would be great. And so we started off that week when we showed up on that Saturday, driving past where they were shooting a scene, and Louise Hay was standing out there and Wayne Dyer was getting ready to film something. And then later in that week on the Wednesday when we had the keynote speaker, we got a phone call that morning, and the keynote, who I don't remember who it was anymore, but she was having vertigo and wasn't sure she was going to be able to make it. And so we called the producer and we're like, hey, look, we've got 100 ministers here who will be glad to take the mic and talk to the people, but it's keynote night. So could Wayne at least pop in and just give us 5 minutes and say hello? And he called back and said, Wayne said he doesn't do 5 minutes, he'll do 20. And he ended up doing an hour for free. So, but that didn't, it's so clear to me that was a divine thing that worked out because we spoke it first. So these spiritual principles work. I came from the umbrella of Johnny Coleman, Dr. Johnny Coleman, and her saying was, it works if you work it. And it is true. It does work if you work it, And so when I heard the title for today with stepping out, stepping up, a song popped into my head. I was blessed. My first job out of college, I toured around the country off and on for a year with Debbie Reynolds. And a song that she sang in her show the whole time was, I'm not going to do the whole song for you, but I'm going to give you a verse, because at first I was like, I'm not, whatever. But then when I decided to look at the lyrics, it speaks exactly to what we're talking about. So here's the one verse. Stepping out with my baby, can't go wrong 'cause I'm in right. It's for sure, not for maybe, that I'm all dressed up tonight. So here's the metaphysics of that. So that's what we like to do in Unity. And so, you know, I say I'm a new thought minister because I am at a Unity church, and Unity is really my foundation in new thought lessons. But I worked at the home office, and I got hired to sing at Sunday services. I was at La Crescenta once a month for about 5 years. So I've done lots of religious science services. And then my ministerial study actually came through a Course in Miracles program. So, but I do love metaphysics, like looking at the words and be like, all right, here's the physical world meaning, but what's my spiritual conscious meaning in this? And when you just look at this, when we teach in Bible verses, baby, children, those are our divine ideas being birthed, being given to us to bring to life and bring forward and care for as they start as little baby ideas that are starting to grow, right? And so if you're stepping out with your baby, you can't go wrong because you are right. Like we teach, there's no wrong. Like even if you do something that seems wrong in the moment, if you just ride that wave, it's always going to work out for your good, right? And then the lyric says, it's for sure, not for maybe. There's no metaphysics needed there. That's pretty clear, right? That I'm all dressed up tonight. And what are you dressed up with? We're dressed up with getting our thinking lined up with our spiritual teachings so that we can really have the best fun, have the most of what's coming forward to us. So I think it's fun, and what Stephen and I had worked on when we did this with my church, although we did it when we were all kind of new to Zoom, and Zoom crashed on the entire East Coast that day, and it was messy, but we got through it. From the notes that I got on some of the stuff within this talk and within this lesson today, I gravitated to this one quote of Ernest Holmes from the book, Can We Talk to God?, where he said, we seek to make our dreams come true, and unless our dreams are subjective hallucinations, they will become actual experiences if, that should be in all capital letters, if we demonstrate our principle. True ideas pass through to accomplishments. Now, I wanted to look and see, like, how do I compare that to something else that I would teach at Unity? And so here's a biblical verse, and then I'll give you some metaphysics within. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, 35 and 36, it says, so do not throw away your confidence. It will be richly rewarded. You need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. He, she, it, say what you want to say. I always say that if somebody's talking spiritually and they use words that make you uncomfortable or become red flag words for you, right? Just pretend you're at an international conference and you just need someone to interpret. They're using a word that means something to them. You just got to they're saying a message that will connect to you. You just need to hear it through your words, right? And doing the will of God is simply, that's not some special thing. We're not saying God's some old man sitting on a cloud looking down on us. No, we are one with God. So God is working through us and to us. So it's our will. We're talking about our highest spiritual principles living out into our earthly human experiences, and saying, don't lose confidence in that. And what Ernest Holmes was saying is, your dreams come true, but they come true if you demonstrate your principle. And so, look, none of us have any of these books and all these principles and rules and steps. And we're doing a dream series where there are 12 steps. They're all really great. There's beautiful information in it. Sometimes I'm in a hiccup moment where I'll be good if I remember one of them. But if you just remember that one piece, just to get yourself settled, the rest of it will fall in place. Whether you can name all the steps or all the principles is irrelevant. Just taking a moment to take a deep breath gets you on that path. Your dreams do come true all the time. And so if you hit a moment of saying, well, I don't know what to do on that, well, the what to do is stop and get into prayer. And you can do a big fancy formal prayer if you want to, or you can just go, thanks God. That's the whole prayer, because you took a moment to recenter yourself, right? And so when you're ready to step out or step up, you want to be prepared for that, right? You want to look, if you're getting ready to step out and have a fancy night, right? Like those people in that music video just now, you want to look outside first, or in our cases now, check our phones and our weather apps to find out whether it's going to be raining. Do I need an umbrella to step out and keep looking as good as I plan to look tonight? Or is it a clear night and warm and I don't even need a coat because a coat would just be in my way? You want to be prepared in another wise. You want to look forward enough so that you're prepared to use your principles, to use your lessons, to use the God that is within you. And it is yours to use. God's not God is all powerful, right? But we were given free will. So we get to use it when and how we want to. And it's never forced upon us. It's simply there to be used as a tool so that we live our highest and best and happiest lives all day, every day, except we're not going to do it all day, every day. But in the dark moments that come along, you take a breath and then you move right on. We talked about all things new today at my church. And we were talking about how before we can get to all the beautiful spring moments of all the things that are growing now and coming out that I cut back last fall, all of that beauty needed a hibernation time. It all needed a time to step back before it stepped out. And it prepared and it rested and it did whatever it did that I don't know anything about. But I know that it did something, and then its time came to step back out. And so it's all about allowing yourself to be in the moment and allow yourself to ask the questions and then move forward with it. So I thank you all for having me here with you. And now I hand it back over to my brother from another mother, Reverend Steve.
Oh, thank you, Wally. Wow, let's hear it for Reverend Wally. He's such a great consciousness. We're so blessed to have friends that are in metaphysics and can show up and be what we need them to be. So thank you, Wally. And on that note, I want to read a little bit of what Joseph Campbell wrote. And he said, "We must be willing to let go of the life we had planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us." You know, sometimes we want to hold on to our good because it's good, when the greater good is waiting for us to let go of the status quo. And it's challenging at times to do that. You know, if things are good, why would you let go of that? But there's always more. There's always richer, more powerful experiences. You know, when somebody asks me how I'm doing, I always say better and better, you know, better and better, because that's what I want to experience. We gratefully step out of what has been in our lives, and we confidently step up into our own greatness. We excitedly blaze new trails of spiritual awareness. What have we learned so far on our journey? And what gifts are we bringing into the new leg of our journey? What will we share with those who travel with us? And, you know, let's be honest about what's been going on this last year. It has been a very interesting time for everyone. No one, this is what I call a collective transformative experience that we're walking through. And no one goes without having an experience of that transformation. And we've had some challenging experiences with a lot of things happening at the same time. But what we can be reassured of is that there is always a way through it. That as we continue to walk and to step up and step out into our greatness. This isn't to deny that we've had challenges. We step up and step out with the power that those challenges have gifted us, the newness of the awareness. Now, right now, it's a very interesting time because we're getting ready to step out. And, you know, your board is actually talking about a reopening date because that's going to happen sometime soon. We're waiting for the numbers to kind of, you know, there's a surge and then there's a surge of vaccine, if you believe in that. But we're waiting just a little bit longer to make sure that everything is just right, but it's going to happen soon. But in the meantime, let's consciously step up and step out. Like Reverend Wally, when we set up to have Dr. Wayne Dyer at our event, we didn't plan for that, but we were praying for that, knowing he was on campus. I saw him up on stage before we even asked him, because that's what I wanted. And, you know, we have to move into that consciousness. We have to move into that infinite reality of possibility. That's what practitioners do. They practice the awareness of the presence of the things that they choose to be, do, and have. As I always say, a good practitioner doesn't treat to their demonstration. They treat as their demonstration. They are one as it. So as we begin to step out and prepare ourselves for this, it's going to be a whole new world. It's going to be a whole new experience. As we begin this journey and we step into the unknown, we step into our power. What will we bring with us? Are we going to be in fear or are we going to be in faith? And it's okay to have some fear. That's the power that keeps us from stepping in front of buses, right? Or sipping off a cliff. We must be smart of where we're stepping. But at the same time, we need to continue walking. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow, I shall not build a condo there. I shall not pitch a tent. I shall continue walking. I shall not buy a t-shirt or take pictures. I shall continue walking. So be brave. Step up, regardless of what others are saying or thinking, because this is your time. You know, again, maybe you've been through a real challenging experience in this last year. And I understand that. We all have had some challenging times, but we need to continue walking as best we can, smiling even through the challenges. I know that it's challenging at times when things happen, and to keep on smiling. And it's okay to take some time to mourn and to be still and know. So I have a question for you to ask yourself. If I was living my fully fulfilled life, what would it look like? Each of us has a unique part to play in the healing of the world. That's Marianne Williamson. Now is the time for that healing. If not now, when? If not you, who? So in conclusion, how brave are you willing to be to step out and to step up into your spiritual magnificence? I pray that you will be, do, and have everything you choose. And so it is. Amen. Well, it's time for us to follow our teaching and do a prayer. So I invite you to bring yourself into that mode of oneness. Following our teaching means going within and connecting with that power that knows what it's doing, knows how to do it, and does it all the time. I know that that power is always on, and it is you. and it is me, and it is everybody else that's hanging around. And as we infuse ourselves with that power, there is nothing you cannot be, do, and have. I may not know what you're walking through right now, but I know that the power that created each one of us does. And as we look to that power source, God or Christ consciousness, whatever you choose to call it, for guidance, it is activated and becomes the miracles, the connections, the divine energies in our life that allow us to continue to step out, continue to step up, and step into our greatness. So I just give great thanks right here and right now for the truckloads of good that are happening for each one of us right here and right now, knowing that something wonderful is happening by means of you. You are that power, and you get to explore whatever you choose to be, do, and have as we affirm it together by saying, and so it is. Amen. Well, again, thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you, Reverend Wally. And I want to thank everybody that helps put this on, Reverend Nan and Rhonda and all of our practitioners and our board and all the leadership and you. If you didn't show up, we'd just be talking to ourselves in a little Zoom room, which is fun too. But it's time for us to find our donation button and give thanks monetarily to keeping the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living functioning and ready for you when you come back in. So find your donation button and we will repeat our offertory ideas about sharing, which says, I share the greatness of my prosperity with all. Once again, I share the greatness of my prosperity with all. So let's just say a quick prayer about our offertory of everything that continues to bless our lives. See, we are just spiritual conduits through which that divine energy flows. And as we give away to what we believe, that path is made clear before us. So we give great thanks for all of the people who have given. We collect these gifts and tithes and bless them. We bless the giver and receiver, knowing that something happens in this world of form that allows us to be, do, and have all that we choose, as we affirm this together by saying, and so it is.